the commercialization of medical intellectual property. You know, I've developed quite a few US patents and developed a few projects, but it's a very difficult process, and I'd like to share some of my ideas and experiences with you. Some people have never done it. They very naively believe it's a great big pot of gold. Well, believe me, it isn't. So, it's very important to actually develop intellectual property that in the medical, biological area, or in science or internet, because this can add greatly to the wealth of countries. It accounts for a lot of the success of the US and many other countries. You know, innovation and risk-taking. They say this is a keystone to successful economies. Well, it applies very well in science and internet, but it actually has been a total disaster in this banking system, hasn't it? Where they innovated, took risks with people's money, lost it. Now people are out of jobs and out of their homes and on the street. So it doesn't apply to all areas of human activity. I hope what I'm telling you now will cut back a little bit on the aspects of the risk-taking behaviour. Now, to develop a project, the first thing is the idea. Well, Americans say that ideas are cheap, and they are actually correct. Ideas are cheap. It's easy to come up with ideas. So you've got to work hard to come up with one decent idea, work on it, refine it. You may need to do some research on it, some scientific papers on it. But remember, you've got to try to keep it confidential. So if you ever show it to anybody or any company, you've got to sign an NDA, a non-commercial disclosure, get them to sign it. Otherwise, they're going to run away with your idea. And second thing is, file a patent. Now, a provisional patent gives you protection initially for 12 months. You should get a lawyer to do it. Don't do it yourself, although it's a lot cheaper, because it's got to be done properly. Otherwise, people can challenge it and eventually steal it from you. Provisional patent. It's not that expensive, but after 12 months, that's when the costs really escalate. And that's when a lot of people, inventors, really run out of money and end up making almost nothing. You know the guy who invented the mouse? Well, it's just 50 years old now. He got no money for it. The guy invented a polymerase chain reaction, PCR. He got $10,000 from it and it immediately sold off for millions. Yes, I know he got a Nobel Prize in chemistry, but he became quite disheartened with how he was ripped off. This is a common story. Probably about 5 to 10% of inventors actually make money out of it. So, not really a pot of gold, is it? But it can be very intellectually satisfying and be a great contribution to patient care and health. So further back on the patent, you filed it, you got 12 months. That's the provisional period. The idea is protected. Then you try to work on selling it to companies, selling it to interested individual parties, trying to get some money or funding. You know, you may come up with a licensing agreement with a company that may be interested in it. You know, when it comes to medicine, there's two things: drugs, but you know, it's very hard to develop a new drug. Huge amounts of money over a long period. So you can't really do that as an individual. Two, instruments. You can develop new instruments that could be really good, but you know you're not allowed to patent an operation. So you develop a new type of operation, you're not allowed to actually patent it or own it, but only the instruments. Something to do with the instruments and how to do the operation. Now, the third step is commercialization. Now, this is the really hard part, because now you've got to get people prepared to put their own money into your project. They've got to believe in you. You've got to be committed and passionate about it. No use presenting one idea and running off with another. They want to see you committed to the project. You've got to present it around the place to your own colleagues, to other commercial interests, and stay behind the project and refine it, because they're putting their money into it. Venture capitalists will probably take a large percentage of it and give you 10 to 15% ownership, so you get a 10 to 15% royalty stream or license stream from it as it goes on. Unlikely to give you money up front. Very unlikely. The other thing are government sources. Now, there can be a lot of money from government sources, but these can be huge bureaucracies that tie you up in knots and make it very hard for you to proceed. A lot of form filling, and you actually have to have quite a few contacts there. So just be aware of this. Now, so I hope this is useful for you. Remember your idea, refine it, protect it, NDA. 2, your patent, provisional patent, only about 12 months before the costs start to escalate. And 3rd, the commercialization, trying to talk to people to get them to put money into your project. Well, I wish you good luck, and don't give up your daytime job. You've got much more chance of making a good living from that. Goodbye.